Hello.
Automatically controlled. You don't need to do
Testing.
right, yes. Been here all week of this. Listening for
Very handy.
If you know, APrIGF is coming through. Second time It is. Yeah, well, it's really nice. Fold out. I believe we fried up and ready. If you want to see those Zoom actions, go to the link to my email address. Yes, it should be. It would be wonderful if people could take their seats so we can kick off the closing plenary and then closing remarks.
Recording in progress.
Okay, welcome everyone. I would like to acknowledge the Yurubal Turrbal people, traditional custodians of Mianjin, the land on which we meet today, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. And I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Thank you for the collective shushing, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jordan Carter, Internet Governance and Policy Director at ADA. It's my absolute pleasure to be moderating this closing plenary this afternoon here for APrIGF 2023, and then the closing remarks, which will immediately follow. I'm going to start this panel by taking you through the topic of the conversation, the session description, just to give you a moment to breathe and see where we're at. Over the course of the last 3 days, the APrIGF community has discussed various implications of the rapidly changing internet and digital technology landscape in the Asia Pacific. At the same time, global internet governance is also undergoing a shift with the beginning of the WSIS Plus 20 process and the United Nations Summit of the Future. These processes could have a profound impact on the future of internet governance and the developing digital societies of our region. There is a need to ensure that our regional priorities are heard and reflected in these processes. With governments having an overbearing role in the governance of the internet, how can other important stakeholders, such as civil society, private sector, and technical community, effectively make their voices heard? What is the duty of governments in the Asia-Pacific to take into consideration the realities, needs, and priorities of its peoples while setting the internet governance agenda going forward? So that's the program committee description of our panel, and that's what we're here to discuss. If I had to sum it up in my own words, I guess the distillation would be, how do we raise our voice as Asia-Pac in shaping internet governance? And what should we say with our voice when we raise it? To discuss this, we have a lovely, fabulous panel who are mostly seated here with one remote participant. I'll just briefly introduce them now. Paul Wilson, the Director General of APrIGDAY. Cheryl Sito, the Head of Policy Programs for Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands at Meta. Welcome. Yoichi Ida, Director of International Research and Policy Coordination at the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications of Japan, is an online participant joining us. And our fourth and final panelist is Vivian Maderborn, Chief Executive of Internet NZ, which is the .nz CCTLD manager. Welcome and thank you, panelists, in advance for the hard work you're about to do, or easy work, depending on your point of view. I'd like to start, we'll do about a 4 or 5 minute round for each speaker to introduce their perspectives on the theme. We'll bounce back and forth as we go, and I think we'll have a chance for some audience participation in the usual way. If you need to run a mic, put your hand up. If you want to stand behind the mic, please do that. And then we'll wrap up with 1 or 2 minutes, depending on how our timing goes, of reflection back from the panel, which I'll do in reverse order. And then we will be wrapped sharp for a little video interlude before the closing remarks. So we're starting with Paul Wilson. Paul, over to you.
Thanks. Thanks very much, Jordan. It's great to be here. Thank you, everyone. It's great to see a full room here right through to the closing event. So I hope the event has really been valuable, memorable, and very useful to you all. APrIGDAY has been tracking the IGF process since before it started, actually, through the whole course of the World Summit on the Information Society, which established the IGF through 10-year reviews, open consultations. We've supported the Secretariat financially, individual events. We've contributed members to the MAG, many committees, many sessions. But even more importantly, actually, is that we've supported the APrIGF and really believed in the APrIGF as the place in our region for an IGF community to come together, the whole multi-stakeholder IGF community. We are, as we were discussing this morning, APrIGDAY is a member of the recognised technical community, hopefully the community as it will be recognised into the future. But I mean that not just as an organisation, I mean it as a community of APrIGDAY, a community in our own right of the thousands of organisations, individual professionals and peers who collectively build and operate the internet infrastructure. Now, APrIGDAY was started actually 30 years ago, and in our founding documents, we were established as the Internet Address Registry, not just for its own sake, but actually established by people who were involved with the early development of the internet for the sake of supporting the ongoing development of the internet. So we've got in our founding documents educational missions, infrastructure missions, and also policy and representative missions. So it actually is our enshrined role to be reaching out to policymakers, to be representing the needs of the industry and the membership. And so That's something we treat seriously and have taken a great deal of time and effort and expense to track and to undertake. And I think if we were to talk here about internet fragmentation, then probably the biggest fragmentation we see is exactly at that level. The number of different dimensions of difference between government and policy approaches across our region, across the Asia Pacific, is just phenomenal. The efforts required to track changes in governments and government personnel across all of the different governments and the different styles of government of the region are astronomical, and it's just truly hard work to do. So I can't say that I've got any secret to that, but to prioritise and to be truly engaged with governments as much as with any other members of the multi-stakeholder community, and recognising that governments need special attention in terms of the rate of, I'll use the word churn, in governments themselves and in government representatives. I think a very good example was the fact that I know that the GAC of ICANN during the COVID years, they didn't meet face-to-face, but when they did meet face-to-face after that period of time, I think 60% of GAC members were new in that forum, and that's pretty incredible when you consider the responsibility that governments have to tackle serious and deep issues, and to do so with consistency and with to allow some progress to happen over the years. If things have to start and restart so often, then it's really a handicap. So I just think we accept that this is the nature of that stakeholder grouping. And I know that governments sometimes don't like being seen as just other stakeholders, but that's the way we do talk about governments here. But I think it is the cost of doing business, so to speak, in this realm. And so as I've said a couple of other times here, it's the really important role of the technical community, not just to do our technical work, but to make sure our technical work is understood. And that's I guess we've all heard of Sisyphus. It's a Sisyphean ordeal when it comes to government. We're pushing a boulder up a hill, and we get to the top, and it'll roll down again soon enough, and we'll start again. But it's the cost of what we do. So, look, I think the APrIGF is a fantastic opportunity. I think I'm incredibly encouraged by what I've seen in the rooms here during this week. Because we have been supporting APrIGF, as I said, for many years. Credit needs to go, and I don't take any credit in spite of the support that we've given. I really think the credit is shared, and I just want to say I think that the culture of this event and the approach that we've developed collectively has been a joint effort, but in no small part our friends at .Asia who've been a steady and indomitable force in maintaining APrIGF, doing an incredible job as a secretariat, but also critically bringing youth alongside their Net Mission project, which is really responsible for a lot of the energy and a lot of the valuable contributions here. And so I just hope that when we see that dynamic, that it's being recognised, it's being accessed and appreciated by the governments and the policy makers and so forth, who can really see that there's something very substantial that's happening here, and something that they can't afford not to take a note of. Look, I might leave it there, and thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Paul. Our next speaker is Cheryl. Over to you.
Thanks so much, Jordan. And hi, everybody. And I'm really so pleased to be part of this panel with such a fantastic group. So thanks for having me. My role at Meta is to lead our policy programs work. And for example, this includes our community education initiatives and research for Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands. And we build out these programs in partnership with NGOs, with civil society organisations, academics, and others across areas such as online safety, media and digital literacy, supporting economic impact and disaster response. And at Meta, we're really committed to being a constructive partner when it comes to designing, implementing and addressing the effectiveness of new laws and other initiatives that are aimed at improving people's safety and their broader experiences online. So, as has come up throughout the discussions over the last few days, internet governance is so complex, as we know, and needs to continually evolve to respond to changing contexts, as well as new technologies. And in that, there will always be trade-offs, such as voice versus safety, or transparency versus right to anonymity. And all of these need to be balanced and then rebalanced as operating environments and technologies continue to shift. So, of course, addressing the challenges facing internet governance can't be solved by any one single actor alone. And so across multi-sectoral groups, which we've been talking about throughout the week, we all broadly, I think, share similar high-level objectives, and that's making sure that people who use the internet are doing so in ways that are safe, positive and informed, and that tech companies like Meta are transparent and accountable. And so we really believe that collaborative approaches are so crucial to developing not only good formal internet governance mechanisms, but also other work and initiatives that will help to contribute towards better digital landscapes. So I'd like to just briefly share 3 recent examples of where Meta has collaborated with different actors towards this aim, particularly in relation to online safety, which is a really important priority for us. And I do want to say that there is always more work to be done. We know we're not perfect, but I hope that these examples maybe can help to show some of the good progress that can be made when industry works with multi-sectoral partners to bring their ideas and their different expertise together, and in turn give ourselves a stronger and more credible voice in helping to shape then new laws and regulations that govern the internet. So first, in New Zealand, as Brent and Sean shared in their really great session yesterday for those who joined, last July, Meta became a signatory of the new Code of Practice for Online Safety and Harms, which was led by NetSafe and developed closely with Meta and 4 other tech companies, Google, TikTok, Twitch and Twitter. And the tech companies that have since signed on to that code have now committed to actively reducing harmful online content. Under the code, there are 45 commitments that we've agreed to be held accountable to and report against each year. And while it's still very, very early days for the code, we're really keen to work hard at making this a model for self-regulation and transparency that can then hopefully genuinely help to reduce harmful online content in New Zealand. Then in the Pacific Islands, back in 2020, we partnered with Save the Children Fiji and Australia to set up an online safety and digital citizenship advisory group made up of now primarily government representatives from the region. And this group has provided us with a forum for being able to share the different challenges and efforts that are underway to address online safety in Pacific Island countries. And it's also helped us to then steer the development of our I Am Digital Online Safety Education Initiative, which Save the Children and Meta have delivered together since early 2021 now in 7 Pacific Island countries. It's now in its 3rd phase, and actually Save the Children Fiji have just started partnering with the Fijian Ministry of Education to deliver the I Am Digital curriculum in local high schools, and it's been really great to see this multi-sectoral collaboration on this project start to expand over the years, and for a government agency to then come on board and start integrating it into its own initiatives now. And last of all, since we've had so many discussions over the last few days about preparing for new technologies, the last example I wanted to share is about a collaboration in Australia, which we did late last year with one of our really longest standing youth safety partners, Project Rocket, to produce a report on the potential opportunities and risks presented by the metaverse. And that was based on a series of workshops with 40 young people from very diverse backgrounds. In working on this project, we also engaged closely with government, particularly the eSafety Commission, to make sure that that report could be something genuinely useful in informing the development of safe and enjoyable metaverse technologies in the future. And it's already started to inform the development of a new metaverse safety guide for young people, which will be just launching next week or the week after. I really love this project. It's an example of how a long-standing partnership for us, in this case, spanning 10 years, can be agile enough to adapt and respond to emerging technologies. I'll stop there. And again, just so pleased to be part of this discussion, really looking forward to how we can share some more ideas about how tech companies can work with other partners to improve the digital landscapes in our region, and not just in informing new legislation and regulation, but also through different types of collaboration and initiatives. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Cheryl. Our third panelist is Yoichi Ida. So if we could have him on the screen, and Ida-san, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me, but you get echo. Is it okay now? Oops. I'm trying, but
yes, I think this is okay now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry about the technical issue. And I'm very happy to join you. It's a great honor for me to see all of you here in the closing panel. And I always pay a lot of respect to the activities by Asia Pacific Regional IGF. Because it's always active and lively, and many people are joining in the very future-looking discussion, and we are actually learning quite a lot from APrIGF. So let me just briefly introduce why we host Global IGF this year in Japan. Actually, that started in the year 2016 when we hosted the previous G7 meeting in our country. At that time, we hosted G7 ICT Ministers meeting, which was the first ICT or digital ministers meeting in the history of G7. And the ministers discussed the importance of free flow of information across borders, improving security or promotion of innovation, how to achieve SDGs, how to achieve inclusive development of the society through ICT technologies. And our ministers all agreed the importance of multi-stakeholder approach to realize all those policy objectives together. And our government, our ministry recognized once again the importance of Internet Governance Forum. Of course, we knew it, but the opportunity renewed our recognition, and that was one of the most important reasons for us, for our ministry, for our government to host IGF here in Japan, here in Asia, and to show the importance of this forum and how this importance forum is working efficiently. So this is most important objective for us to host IGF in Kyoto. As host country, we fully understand, the content and discussions are proposed, designed, and implemented by multi-stakeholder participants. But we are very happy to prepare the venue, and we are very happy with the program organized, map, and also the leadership panel this year, which is Internet we want, empowering all the people, and associated with 8 sub-themes. So we are very eager to support all participants from around the world, in particular from the Asia-Pacific regions, to discuss your challenges, your efforts, and your requirements together with different communities from different regions, and also from the people from Japan. One of the objectives for our government is also to activate the Japanese internet community, especially in promoting the discussion on internet governance. We have, of course, a lot of people working actively in this field for a long time, but the number is very much limited, and we always see lack of young people's energy. That is what we want to learn and import from Asia-Pacific regional activity into Japanese community, and Kyoto IGF will be a very good opportunity for us, for Japanese community. If I want to answer the question by Jordan, moderator, when the government policy is overbearing, how other stakeholders can show their engagement. In the beginning, as a member of government, I would say government needs to be moderate in policy making, because only government cannot promote the internet governance policy alone, but we need to make it in a collaborative way or pursue co-regulation, and sometimes we call it soft law approach. So, as some of you may know, Japanese government has been promoting some policy agenda called data free flow with trust, or AI, global AI principles. This software approach or collaborative approach is underlying basis of those policy in digital policy field, and we would propose other stakeholders to voice out your challenges, your requirements, your hopes, so that the government can listen to and learn from, and even take them into actions in policy measures. And that is the way to realize and promote collaborative and multi-stakeholder approach in this field. So I stop there, but I believe this will be very important opportunity for all of us, and widely mentioned by the moderator in the beginning. We are heading for WSIS Plus 20 review process, and I believe the common objective for us is how we can protect and even promote, strengthen this multi-stakeholder approach in internet governance in 2025 and beyond. So thank you very much, and I look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ida-san. And I think we had a little bit of echo here in the room, so we might need to ask you to, if there's a second account or speakers going, perhaps you could mute that for the next session. Thank you. Our fourth speaker in the panel is Vivian Maderborn. Vivian, over to you.
Kia ora. Thank you, Jordan. I just wanted to start with a whakatauki, a proverb from New Zealand, my country, Aotearoa, because it's been in my mind over these days. So, te tiro whakamuri kia unga whakamua. Look to the past in order to move forward. And several times as I've been listening about multi-stakeholderism, Paul this morning did that beautiful reflection about WSIS didn't invent a multi-stakeholder context, but rather discovered it by talking with people about the internet and figuring out what had worked. And I just thought this proverb captured that so well. So this is my first ever Internet Governance Forum, regional or otherwise. And I think I was invited to be on this panel because I know nothing. And everything I've got to say is kind of a real-time reflection for what I've seen over these few days. So the first thing I wanted to comment on was Asia Pacific region. And just to applaud the diversity of voices, the energy, the youth leadership. Wow, that's been such a feature of this, this gathering. And the call to action I heard from those conversations was, if this region, as diverse as we are, as developing, as so-called developed, as urbanized, as rural, the power of the Indigenous movements within this region, the connectivity or still struggling to be connected. If across all these diversities, we can find the core messages we want to take globally, then not only will we be heard, but we'll create maps for other regions. So that was my first reflection as I was thinking about this final panel. You know, once I read a book called The Answer to How is Yes. It was written by a man called Peter Block, and who wouldn't read a book with that kind of title? But the basic tenet was the questions we ask are more important than the answers we bring. And I love that when I heard in one of the panels, this is a gathering of decision makers, not decisions, because it focuses back on the exploration rather than on the decision, on going deeper with the question rather than jumping to the first logical answer. And wow, did I ever hear some questions? How do we move beyond trust and into an exploration of accountability? How do we confront and invite the issues of inclusion and disability rights? How do we explore and deepen what is possible regionally to share globally? Yesterday at the town hall, I heard a really passionate plea for us to focus on human-centered design and internet innovation. And to the extent that we have influence as people involved in internet governance, to watch for the consequences of innovation that further marginalise, exclude or belittle people, and especially already marginalised groups. All these multifaceted and deep questions we can respond to nationally, regionally and globally. So what a privilege to be involved in internet governance from that point of view. A question that I heard, or a statement I heard at the previous town hall, was something like that. I haven't got this quote exact, but you know, I live in the protocol and internet governance level of the internet. When will we stop being distracted by what's new and apply ourselves to this level, because no one else will? I really felt that like a call to action. And there are other forums where I can talk about AI or I can talk about cybersecurity, but there are no other forums who are really as a priority focusing on internet governance. I heard a lot of offerings at this gathering on how we could do internet governance better. And in fact, I thought that was one of the main inquiries of the workshops I went to. Can we reflect on who is being included and who is being excluded? Visas came up time and time again in relationship to this. How does connectivity work or not work, and who does that include? The online experience compared to the in-person experience. How do we keep innovating and improving in that space? So inclusion, access, and deeper still, whose voice do we value and whose do we not? Those seem to me to be the process improvement calls that you made about internet governance. We heard examples of new forms of multi-stakeholder groups, including the Christchurch call, which my colleagues at Internet New Zealand have been integrally involved with. And participating in the Pacific track, listening to Janice Stewart, who was here at our opening at NetThing, it came clear to me that one of the challenges of internet governance is some core paradoxes of this space. In the New Zealand context, we would listen to tangata whenua, to the first people of our land, the Māori people, who are the partners in a treaty with government. And here we were introduced to the very first Indigenous fellows. So one of the paradoxes that residing and listening to Indigenous people is, how do we listen deeply locally and then act nationally, regionally, and globally? How do we go beyond the listening and the representing those voices, but rather bringing those voices with us? Which comes back to, who do we include and how do we exclude? The paradox of more and more connectivity in some places and slow and patchy access for others across the region and even within countries is another paradox. I was struck by the insights I heard about the need for internet governance to focus on minimising harm and maximising openness and inclusion. But you know, the thing I found it hardest to hear and to know how to kind of write a list for was, what is internet governance? And so here's a little brainstorm my colleagues and I have been having over this time. We just can't miss out the work of the multi-stakeholder approach as core to internet governance. And I think in response to Jordan's core question here, you know, what do we need to do to bring our thinking together? The thing I'm taking home as a call to action is, how do we, Internet New Zealand, do that really well in New Zealand? How do we involve our community in strong multi-stakeholder conversations? I want to acknowledge the outer paper on, you know, the roadmap, and also the APrIGDAY blog and other work. There was much to learn here in preparation to coming to this gathering. And certainly what I've got is a sense of urgency that I didn't have previous to coming here. You know, that this is something that's time framed. And I, you know, am new enough to have not really had a sense of that prior to now. I love the idea that the Kyoto Internet Governance Forum is just around the corner, and there will be opportunity to follow up quickly and already making connections with people to do that. So that's certainly internet governance. Universality in the internet is certainly internet governance, such a powerful policy project that addressed the inclusion of all people. Encryption turned up on my radar as an internet governance issue. Somebody said the last bastion of interoperability. Regulation and digital policy from governments that might affect the internet. And we've just been talking about fragmentation. What an awesome session that was. The balance and role of name supporting organisations like Internet New Zealand in responding to online harm. You know, what is it? How do we figure that out in the balance of an open, safe internet? Perhaps most importantly, I want to come back to how in our own countries does this work build our muscles for multi-stakeholder processes, and how do we then bring that learning and our cultural differences here so we know how to put it into a cross-cultural space? How do we build cross-cultural competence? have found myself over these days reflecting on other human rights movements I've been part of and the importance of citizenship voice. And I've also heard how fast the environment is changing and how hard civil society is finding it to just keep up, let alone organise, synthesise key messages and participate in everything. So I want to think more about that in terms of how our internet governance, we can improve this conversation about multi-stakerism. So I just want to complete returning to the whakatauki from the beginning. Titiro whakamuri ko kiri whakamua. You know, that whakatauki invites our ancestors into the room and invites the people who've been before, as well as those future leaders, and kind of whips it into a spiral where the energy of hope and continuing learning is present. So on that note, I'll complete.
Thank you, Vivian, and thank you actually to all four of the panelists, because you've put a fascinating array of angles on this question on the table. And some themes I picked out, and of course this is not going to do justice to all the richness of what you've said, is an interesting double take on diversity, right? You know, internet governance is diverse. It might be about shaping policy. It might be about collaborations like the Christchurch Call. It might be about deep thinking events like the IGF. And governance needs diversity to fulfill, and being attentive to the voices in the room and the voices that are not, and being attentive to how we listen, because it's one thing for the voices to be offered, to be spoken, but how do we make sure we actually listen deeply and engage with it? And another theme that's come through not just in your remarks, but also more broadly, is what are we here to govern? What is the subject matter of internet governance? Do we need to broaden it because the internet connects with everything, and so it's an interrelated set of systems beyond traditional internet governance? Or do we need to narrow it so as to get focus and attention on those names and numbers, or the plumbing or the tech, however you want to describe it? And a third one is this sense of a journey, of a discovery, of a storytelling around the internet and how it's come to be, that has been evoked by a number of people. So I think it's a fascinating set of themes which reflecting on it, you can connect to the question of how do we raise our voice? We do it by collaborating and existing in new ways. And what to say, I think, from this region, as from others, would be diversity is paramount, and building processes that listen is paramount, because otherwise multi-stakeholderism is just a label. It loses its reality. So with those sort of moderatorily comments, can we do another quick round? Because we've got enough time for a few responses from each of you to the others' comments, or to mine if you like. Has anyone got anything they'd like to add at this point? Go on, Vivian.
I wanted to just call out Edi-san's comment about respect, because I just loved what you said about, you know, you love this particular governance forum because it's lively, active, and brings forward those diverse views. And I wonder whether that in itself isn't a strategy for how we bring forward the importance of the multi-stakeholder environment. You know, that the voice we use is a respectful and respected voice. How do we add power to that? That was as Edi-san was speaking, I was thinking, that feels important.
Thanks, Vivian. Paul, do you have any kind of reflections on what you're hearing?
Well, I think it's about communications and respect. Definitely, that as I mentioned before, we have the ordeal, the cost of working not just with government actually, but with any of our partners, anyone who we want to partner with. Part of our mission, as I mentioned, on behalf of the community is to represent needs and to help to see them met, but that needs a base of understanding. It means communication and to some degree education in some sense at the same time. So it's not a complaint. It's just that is just what we have to do, and in working with anyone who needs to understand this environment, our role and the roles of others, and that's going to go on. But I think the language of clear language and a clear language of respect are absolutely critical. Language is interesting because I said it earlier at the Australian IGF Day, beginning of the week, that governance is a tricky term. I really wish back in the early days we'd realised how tricky it was, because governance in English is quite an abstract term of something that moderates or helps to maintain the pace or to moderate some function. It doesn't need to be governmental, but in many translations, internet governance can only be, or governance can only be, something that's done by government. And so it's kind of strange, isn't it, to be talking about a multi-stakeholder process for something that is by definition sort of governmental. And I think the better term would have been cooperation. And now we talk about digital cooperation rather than digital governance. And I think that's a big step forward. Cooperation implies respect, absolutely. And so I think Vivian makes a really good point there. APrIGF, it's a little rough around the edges. It's a best effort, and actually cooperation and coordination do cost. And so I sort of gave some praise earlier to the .Asia Secretariat for their ongoing work, but it's gone much further than that. In spite of the fact this is a bottom-up and unchoreographed, not a produced slick event. It's a low-cost event in terms of wanting to make it as accessible as possible, and so many people have been involved with that and have contributed to it. So I do also want to in case I don't get the chance, want to acknowledge Outer's role, and it is fantastic here. I mean, the changes that happened in Australia over the last decade, again, it's a fact of life, but there were some pretty serious changes. The government dropped the ball on in a lot of ways on these discussions. Outer was absent for a while. It's fantastic to have Outer back. So really welcome, and all credit to Outer to the priority that they put on this event, because I think they can see clearly, and I'm sure anyone who's new at Outer will see even more clearly how important this stuff is. I've got 3 takeaways from this event. I think we've recognised in a lot of ways here that there are many different governance problems. Some are new, and it's a very interesting comment about why we keep getting distracted by the new from the old, no matter how important the old is. I think that's a very important thing for us to all notice, because the new things are shiny and sparkly, or they seem particularly challenging or interesting, and we can forget about the old. But you know, some of the new things do require different solutions. Some of them don't, and so particularly with emerging technologies, we may well have what we need in order to properly address those, without sort of suddenly seeing them as something that requires reinvention of a wheel. And the variety of governance problems is something I think governance challenges is something that we've really recognised here, and it really is a sign of the times that things are getting more diverse and more complex and speeding up. And there's more pressure on us to do more things, even if some of them we should say no to. The voice of the technical community, I spoke about it this morning. As we move along, particularly with emerging and new technologies, to forget about the underlying technology that makes it possible to do these things is a real mistake, or the the risk of making big decisions on new technologies that could cut right through the infrastructure, right through the layers of the internet, and cause fragmentation at the deepest layers, which is something that will affect not only whatever it is that is the target of that particular change, but will affect everything that relies on the internet. It's really important not to take the internet for granted at that basic level. I said earlier, I think that we call this network the internet. It will change. It will go on changing. But if we allow it to, then entropy takes over, fragmentation takes over. We still have something we call the internet, but in fact, we may not have the internet as we know it today in terms of its critical core functions and features and definitions. And I think you know, the last one is simply that, as I said before, the youth and the new leadership that's in the room and that's coming in is very important. Not to forget, for us all, not to forget lessons learned, but the way to do that, I think, is to transmit those lessons effectively and sincerely and openly to the next generation. Let them help us to. As an older generation, let them help us and ask them to help us to solve those issues. So it's been a very rich week on the role of everyone in this room. One component of APrIGF is the synthesis document, which is a collectively edited consensus of what's been said and shared this week. It's open for participation. I know we can hear more about this, I guess, in the closing, but I really do encourage everyone here to take a look and see what's missing from your point of view in terms of that document and its how well it reflects where we are today, what we've done this week, because it will be important to take that straight to Kyoto in a month or so's time, because it sort of represents what we're doing here. I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Thanks, Paul. Yes, no, the speakers can see a countdown clock and it's misleading because we need to stop when it says 5 minutes. So Paul has started the segue out. I'm going to take Vivian next, and then Ida-san for a very brief, and then Cheryl. Just a brief snippet or two in closing for this panel. Thank you. So Vivian.
Look, I just think that the thing that is in all of our greatest influence to do is dive into the exploration of what multi-stakeholder means in our own environments at home, and then how we bring that into the forums we have. So that's certainly in my mind as we close.
Thank you very much. Ida-san, do you have any closing comments or remarks?
Thank you very much. I hope I don't have echo anymore. And I cannot answer to all the questions, but I just want to emphasize, you know, the importance of diversity. Asia is so, Asia embraces a huge diversity, which is, we believe, a source of innovation, source of energy, source of growth. And when governments are discussing policy making in this field, we are always finding, even now, we are continuously finding the differences between not only in the policies, but in the backgrounds. You know, each country, not only limited to the Asian countries, but also in individual countries and the regions have different histories, different backgrounds, different cultures, different stages of the development. All these different backgrounds require government to formulate a different policy making in this field. Especially, you know, digital policy affects all the different aspects and elements of the society, and we need to understand the individual country, individual societies have differences. And from that point of view, we are not pursuing harmonization of the policy, harmonization of the governance, but as Paul pointed out we need to pursue interoperability between frameworks, governance frameworks or regulations or whatever. So in order to pursue interoperability, we believe mutual recognition, mutual understanding, mutual respect is very important. And to do that, we need communication, to deepen the communication between different players, not only between governments, but between different stakeholders. That would be very important. And that is the real value of multi-stakeholder. And I don't know how to strengthen this very valuable approach, but I have very strong belief that we need to protect and promote this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ida-san. Cheryl, over to you.
Thanks, Jordan. And just briefly from me, I think, again, the same themes that have come out from this conversation, but also the last few days around the importance of voice, diversity, respect. I think, to be honest, I've had some challenging conversations. I have had people come up to me and raise some of their concerns about tech platforms and the way that we moderate content and respond to concerns from civil society around issues like human rights and so on. And I do want to acknowledge those conversations and thank people who did come up and have those with me. I think it's important to not just have voice, but to also listen and not just go into some of these things that I mentioned in my opening presentation as a box ticking exercise, or to just say we've done it, we've consulted with diverse groups, we've consulted with people with lived experience, and but to actually take on those hard conversations and take them away and learn from them and genuinely go into those conversations with an intent to listen and go and try and improve ourselves. And certainly that's the approach that we take with the work that we do. We form advisory groups with recurrent groups and bring them together again, because we want to keep the conversation open. We want them to keep saying, what did we do right? What did we not do? What can we continue to do to improve? And I think taking that learning from me from Meta, but then also as this whole amazing event comes to a close, but we've had some pretty robust conversations over the last few days. And I think we're very privileged, I feel, to have all come together. Some people from really far away around the world have only come from an hour away down in Sydney, but to not just have these conversations and go away and keep doing the same thing, but to actually, even if it's just picking low-hanging fruit, to nudge things along towards an improved digital landscape, then I think that makes events like these really worthwhile. So those are some of my reflections and my main takeaways. Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. And thank you to the entire panel for a set of insights. If there's an action for all of us, I think, from this, it's as we go home to think about how we act on this in our day-to-day lives and in our day-to-day roles, whether it's listening better, expanding the diversity, or raising our voices on the issues that we care about. Let's do more of it. Thank you very much. The panelists are free to go. We're going to do a very brief video interlude, because what you may or may not, who saw a drone on Tuesday night at the cocktail function? We had a videographer on site during Tuesday, photos, videos, a few vox pops, and we've put that together into one of those lovely videos with inspiring views, exciting music, ready to entertain you, that's on YouTube to share and promote APrIGF to people who might attend next time. So let's roll that, and then we'll go straight into the closing remarks section of the event. If you're speaking in the closing remarks, it might be time to come up onto the stage. You know who you are if you're speaking. But for now, let's roll that video.
Hello, I'm Rosemary Sinclair. I'm the CEO of AUDA, the .au domain administration. I'm here at the Asia Pacific Regional Internet Governance Forum. It's a really important regional forum where people from across the region come together to talk about the internet and how it's being governed, to share knowledge, ideas, and catch up with all their experience. There's a great buzz in the room, and we've really enjoyed hosting it here in Brisbane in 2023.
My name is Rukshar Khan. I am from Fiji. I had the good opportunity to be given a fellowship for the APrIGF. So I'm here to see what are the problems in the Pacific, especially in terms of digital literacy. There's still remote islands, remote schools, we still have issues. So I think those are the grassroots problems that first needs to be fixed.
I am Edmund Chung from .Asia. The overarching theme, which is the emerging technologies, is really important because some people think it's not supposed to be a internet governance discussion, but these days, AI governance, data governance, internet governance, the lines are really blurring and they're coming together and we have to address them together.
I'm Dr. Muhammad Shabir. I'm from Pakistan. APrIGF or IGF forums, they are the forums just for you to flag issues, not necessarily to find solutions. That's the beauty of these forums. As a researcher, you need to have questions to find solutions.
I'm Luke. I'm from YIGF. I'm one of the organizing committee.
So my name is Charlotte. I think this event is important not just to share ideas, but also to raise awareness.
We need youth who are passionate about these things so that we can build the next generation of internet governance. So hopefully we could have like local hubs in each country, maybe starting from a youth standpoint. So YIGFs in every single country. I know it's a big goal.
I hope to see in the future that the digital divide between, especially within the Asia Pacific, is lessened. So I think just being able to see more unity, like technologically wise, would be really nice, and just having a more united front.
Thank you for that. So share that on your socials as we go. I've already introduced myself, so I won't do that again, but it's my honor to be the MC for the closing ceremony today of APrIGF 2023. We have a number of closing speakers and announcements and so on to do over the next 20 minutes or half an hour. Our first contribution will be from Ryoichi Ida. Ida-san is from the government of Japan. He's going to talk to us a little bit about IGF 2023, which is coming up in Kyoto in October. So Ida-san, over to you. You'll need to unmute yourself, sorry.
Great.
There we go.
Yeah, thank you very much. So my name is Yoichi Ida from the Japanese Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications, and I'm very honored to take this role of introducing the Kyoto IGF coming in October. In the beginning, I want to thank for the interlude video, which brought me a lot of passions in Asia Pacific regional IGF over the last 4 days. And I now fully understand, I missed something very important, but I hope to join you next year. But before that, I hope you join us in Kyoto in October. In Kyoto, I don't go into the details of the programs, but of course we are preparing the hundreds of sessions according to the main theme and 8 subtopics. I believe all those sessions are selected by Meg and other relevant people, which will bring you a lot of information, a lot of challenges, information, the updated current situation in digital world, including connectivity, digitalization, or even AI. And we, alongside the substantive discussions in those sessions, we are also preparing for some opportunities for experience of Japanese cultures, such as tea ceremony or flower arrangement or whatever. So please come and join us in person, and please experience, of course, the updated issues and the challenges and even the potential solutions on internet governance topics. But at the same time, please enjoy Japanese culture and society in and around Kyoto. And we would be very, very happy and honored to welcome all of you very soon in Kyoto in October. So thank you very much, and hopefully see you soon again.
Thank you very much, Ida-san. Our next speaker in these closing remarks is my colleague, the Chief Executive of AUDA, Rosemary Sinclair. Rosemary, please come and make some closing remarks.
Thank you very much. And let me start by saying, wow, what an amazing week we have all had here together. Over 34 sessions, we've had more than 250 people engaged here in Brisbane, over 1,000 Zoom connections from people engaged online, and that included 9 hub connections, if you like, for example, universities spread throughout the Asia-Pacific region. So we've had an amazing time, a fantastic set of events. And one contribution that I will always recall came from the Pacific IGF that I was fortunate enough to attend. And the comment is this: we make our decisions to support our values, community, family, faith. And we at AUDA.au do the same. We do all our work through our values, and our values, to share them with you, are to contribute locally and globally, to do things better together, and to strive for excellence. And those values really underpin our commitment to champion the multi-stakeholder model. The living heart of the multi-stakeholder internet governance system is the exchange of ideas between stakeholder groups from different sectors, different countries, different geographies, different traditions, and different identities. And we've seen so much of that this week, and I really want to celebrate it. I use the word exchange because sometimes we see it only as about dialogue. It isn't just dialogue, important as that is, as necessary as that is, for sharing information, for sharing understanding, for exploration, for inspiration, but it's also about finding solutions to common problems. It's about each of us making decisions to support our communities. It's about inventing new technologies and thinking about ways to use existing ones even better. It's about working out ways to tackle some of the problems that use of the internet has given rise to, be they as close to us as DNS abuse or as dispersed and difficult as disinformation. It's about determining our voice and being ready to share it beyond the region and all around the world. To that end, I'm so delighted to see the progress made in the synthesis document throughout the course of the week and our incredibly engaged town hall sessions. AUDA's passionate about the multi-stakeholder internet governance system because it's the right one to shape the internet's future. We're also passionate, as you would have heard this week, about making it better. We've published some ideas about improvements in the weeks before this event, and I know there have been discussions on the internet governance system during the event. We have a shared responsibility, a responsibility to be good stewards of the internet and how it evolves, to keep improving the system of governance, to keep improving it so that it can deliver the internet we all need and want, and to make sure that whatever part of our region we're from, we support each other to lift our voice and to make sure we're heard in charting the internet's future. If we don't, there are other ideas out there which would replace the vibrant, inclusive internet governance we have now with the politics of the intergovernmental system. Our region, the Asia Pacific, should raise its voice loud and strong against such changes. Let's shape the multi-stakeholder internet governance system and together make it even better. And let's all use our support for the multi-stakeholder exchange and what we've learned from each other this week to find each of us one new thing to do, an action to take away from this week's exchange to support our communities and our aspirations for the role the internet can play in delivering prosperity and social good. The action I'm thinking of for APrIGDAY focuses on our values of contributing and doing our work better together. Let me close by thanking you all once again for making the journey to Brisbane, whether that has been through the air, across the sea, or through your screens. We at APrIGDAY have been delighted to be your hosts. I hope you found the week constructive, inspiring, and a little bit of fun. And on behalf of all of us as local hosts, we wish you a fond farewell, a safe journey home, and good luck with your one new thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. Our next speaker today is the chair of the Asia Pacific Youth IGF Organizing Committee, Luke Teo-Rong-Gwang. Please, your remarks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luke Teo, chair of the Asia Pacific Youth Internet Governance Forum Organizing Committee. I'd like to start by expressing our sincere appreciation for being given this opportunity to share a brief overview of what this year's installment of the Asia Pacific YIGF has achieved in the past 3 days. But before that, I'd like to thank the APrIGF fellows who took the initiative to join many of our YIGF sessions to stay connected with the next gen and ensure the youth's voice is represented equally throughout the internet governance community. I'd also like to thank our amazing online participants who have joined us through different time zones and contributed to the APrIGF synthesis document and the town hall sessions. On a special note, I'd like to thank the United Nations IGF Secretariat for entrusting the youth with the task of leading and hosting the Youth Track workshop for the global internet governance community. This empowers all of us, the youth, stakeholders of different generations, and leaders in the APAC region to stay aligned with the global youth strategy. However, the need for more new blood still remains. Intergenerational and intercultural collaborations were two key terms which surface very often, not only throughout YIGF, but also APrIGF, as can be seen in the speakers' sharings just now. This only underscores the need for bidirectional flows of learning between generations of present and the future. The key takeaways from this year include, but are certainly not limited to, insights from our panel discussion, meet up with industry experts, and APAC youth leaders dialogue. And also the participants crafting their own youth policy statements, an initiative to increase the youth voice in the APrIGF synthesis document. Once again, proving that the next gen are working towards producing tangible outputs that signify their interest in building a better internet, not by chance, but by design, as everyone in this room should. It must be noted that support from all stakeholders is essential in ensuring the youth continues to be properly integrated into the internet governance ecosystem. Hence, I'd like to utilize this opportunity to urge everyone in our community to combine their efforts in ensuring youth initiatives and the youth community will continue being systematically included at all levels to ensure we open the door for the next gen to be a part of the movement in making the internet a better place that is truly for everyone. If you do take anything from my sharing now, please let it be these 7 words. Nothing for the youth without the youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luke. It's now my pleasure to introduce Ashirwat Tripathi, who is the Vice Chair of the Multi-Stakeholder Steering Group of the APrIGF. He has a bit of news to announce, I believe.
So namaste everyone. I'm Ashirwat Tripathi, Vice Chair of Multi-Stakeholder Steering Group. First, I would like to pay my respect to the First Nation people, the indigenous community of Asia Pacific region, and the disability community. On behalf of the chair, I would also like to extend my thanks to our host, .AUDA, our sponsors, partner speakers, all MSC and committee members, secretariat, all participants online and on site, and our wonderful fellows who really added value to this whole forum. My special appreciation goes to Jim Hopkins from Reliability for supporting our fellows with disability and for providing your services for free. And also to Gunilla who connected us with them. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to us and I think they deserve a round of applause. Thank you so much. So during these 4 days of intensive discussions and social event, I'm sure like myself, everyone of you have some key takeaways. I've made a list of it, a book of it actually, and I'll share it with you right now. So please don't be bored. Firstly, the Asia Pacific region needs to leverage the full potential of intergenerational solidarity, respect, and understanding to form an equitable and multi-stakeholder collaborations and partnerships. This is the only way for us to support the achievement of sustainable development goals and to ensure that no one is left behind. Technology itself is free from prejudice or favor, but what use we make of it depends upon the way we govern it. That is the reason this multi-stakeholder model of governance, this multi-stakeholder model of internet governance is so important. As Dr. Shabir wisely said to me, it's like a sharp knife. You can cut vegetables to eat or you can use it to hurt people. From putting people at the center of IG discussions to discussing about emerging technologies, we've come a long way as a community this year. But are we really ready for the next phase of internet? I'm sure we are, but yet so much is still to be done. We have to continue to work as a community for a better shared future, and the way forward is by accepting diversity and practicing empathy. In APrIGF, every 2 years, the role changes, and I would also like to welcome new members to join the MSG. So as a community united, let's assure that the internet remains a force for good and make societies better. Let's think about our children and their children's children. As Helen Keller rightly said, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. That's it, I'm done. It's not so long, right? Now it's time for some announcements. So we have an independent election committee who've been working very hard behind the scene to make sure that we have a fair and transparent election. I want to thank the election committee for their hard work behind the scenes. Due to some technical reasons, we'll be rerunning the vice chair election, but we do have a new chair now. But before I announce her, let me take this opportunity to thank our very own champion, Anju Mangal. If you can stand up, please. No, come on. Let's get it. I was about to say, let's give a hand of applause to her, but yeah, everybody already did it. Yeah, you're gonna get that gift as well. Anju has always been a motivation for me and all, because I know that behind the scenes, there's a lot of hard things, there's a lot of stress, but she's always able to put a beautiful smile on her face. And trust me, Anju, we're not gonna let you go that easy. You're gonna be in the team for a long, long time. Now, let's give a round of applause to our incoming chair, Amrita Chaudhary. We both are very much instrumental in motivating women across the region to engage more in this kind of important discussion. So to you, Amrita, the boss.
Thank you so much, Ashirvad, and thank you, everyone. Looking forward to working with all of you, to make APrIGF grow from strength to strength. Thank you so much.
Finally, let me introduce our next year's host. We're going from the city of Brisbane to the beautiful city of Taipei. So let me call on stage Nicole Chan from TW, and I see so for her host presentation. Thank you so much. Dhanyavad.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nicole Chen from Taiwan. I'm the former Minister of National Communications Commission. As we come to the closing of APrIGF 2023, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for being a part of this incredible event, especially thanks to the organizer.au and the secretariat.asia and all the sponsors. Today is not just about the closing of APrIGF 2023 in Brisbane for farewell, but also about celebrating what we have achieved with our collective efforts to further exploring the diversity of internet governance. And this is a remarkable achievement for our entire community of Asia Pacific. Amidst the closing, I'm truly honored to address you today on behalf of TWNIC and the co-located event TWIGF that we have successfully had the opportunity to host APrIGF 2024 in the vibrant city of Taipei. This achievement is our shared commitment from Taiwan to shaping the future of the internet together with all of you within the APEC region. Taipei, with its fusion of innovation, diverse cultures, and seamless connectivity, provides the perfect setting for meaningful dialogues and partnerships. While we focused on the discussions of APrIGF 2023, I extend an open invitation to each one of you to join us in Taipei for APrIGF 2024. In Taipei, you will find open arms, top-notch facilities, and promising an exceptional experience. And your insights, expertise, and collaborations and contributions will be the driving force behind the success of this forthcoming event. Now, let me show you where we will be for the APrIGF 2024 in Taipei. So let's see.
Taipei is a large, bustling city. It's fast-paced, crowded, but exciting and convenient.
Taipei ist eine freundliche Stadt. Obwohl die Bevölkerung groß ist, ist die Stadt sehr menschlich.
私は日本から来ました。台湾の文化に興味があり、特に古いものと新しいものが共存している文化都市台北には以前から興味津々でした。
Taipei is a fast-paced commercial city. If you like to shop, this city will delight you with everything.
Tous les pays se retrouvent dans les assiettes. Le vrai paradis de la gastronomie pour moi, c'est Taipei.
In Taipei gibt es auch ein U-Bahn-Netz für die ganze Stadt und U-Bikes gibt es auch überall. So kann man jeden Ort erreichen.
Do you want to get out of the city and take a break? Come on. These trails can be an escape for your mind and soul.
台北には世界一の美術工芸コレクションと名高い故宮博物館があります。
Wherever you wander, you'll discover something new. Whatever you want to buy, you can find it here.
Solltest du müde werden von all diesen Aktivitäten, gibt es auch ein paar Hot Springs in den Vororten von Taipei mit natürlichen heißen Quellen. Hier kann man sich entspannen und die Wärme in den Bergen genießen.
台北は多くの魅力的な要望を持ち、古い魂に新しい命を注ぎ込まれた文化都市です。
Taipei macht wirklich Spaß. Egal ob Tag oder Nacht, vom Jahresanfang bis zum Jahresende.
Thank you for watching. I eagerly anticipate to welcome you to Taipei, joining us for APrIGF 2024. Once again, thank you very much and see you all in Taipei next year.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Look, in finally wrapping up, let me just give a couple more reminders about two things. The parliamentary track in preparation for the IGF is underway at the other end of the convention center on this floor in P10 and 11. So you're welcome. All of the sessions are now open today and tomorrow, so you can join them in person or online. The second reminder is that as of not that many minutes ago, we had 78 comments so far on the synthesis document 2023, which is great. You still have some more time to do it until the 3rd of September, which I think is Sunday. I may get confused, Sunday. So Sunday isn't that far away. So let's get that comment count up. Finally, from us, this work matters. You know, doing these gatherings is the multi-stakeholder model at work. We learn, we grow, we make new connections. It's been our honor as AUDA to host you here for that work. We're glad you came. Thank you for your participation. I hope you have a safe trip home, wherever that may be. And it's my honor to declare APrIGF 2023 officially closed.